Hi, I'm Ron.
And I'm Don.
And this is the Ron and Don Show. Thanks for joining us today. Our topic today is Words Have Power, Part 2. We did a previous episode talking about words and the power they have when it comes to the facility manager, primarily interacting with operations and senior leadership.
Specific words we were talking about were particularly try. Try, if you use that or if somebody else uses it, you're actually giving or receiving an excuse in advance for failure. Well, I will try later on. Well, I tried when nothing actually happened. And we went through all the details on that and a few other specific terms which are detrimental to your communications.
Today, we're going to focus more specifically on the facility manager and the words they use with contractors.
Never treat your contractor as a servant, especially in front of operations. If you treat your vendors as servants, they will feel empowered to do so as well, and you're going to lose a lot of really great contractors. If you're asked for information about something and you don't have it readily at hand, be ready to immediately say, I'll get back to you later on that, because if you're shuffling through paper or trying to think of it, you look weaker by the second. Get back to them, even if you say, I'll be back to you in 15 minutes or 2 hours or a couple days. Get back to them by that time. Whether you have the information or not, get back to them, and if you don't have the information, say, I'm sorry, but it hasn't been generated yet. I'll get back to you and get a new deadline. Be timely on that, but also get out of the position where you're going to look weak while you're searching for information. Be clear in your conversations with vendors and contractors. If you're talking about that wooden thing at the bottom of the wall, use the proper term. It's a plate. If you're talking about an asphalt parking lot repair and you want to put that sticky stuff inside the saw cut holes out there, it's called tack oil or tack coat that's put down first. Use the terms that the contractor will understand.
What we're basically talking about is not putting your contractor/vendor in a position to have to guess what you're referring to.
And the same way with operations. You need to understand operations terms. You know that open is not when the staff arrive in the morning, and close is not when the staff leaves. Open is when the guests arrive, and close is when the guests we're closed to guest operations. So you need to talk with your contractor and make sure they understand that open means he can't work until open. He has to be done before that because the staff is arriving. And close is he can't start at close. It may be an hour or two after that, after the guests have left and the staff has gotten done. You need to know the difference between prep and setup. Prep is things that you're cutting up food. Setup is really when you're setting up the dining room and the service areas by the staff. And those are two different times of the morning that those things happen. Another word that will shock them when you use it is throughput. Understand that throughput is how many guests they can move through in the restaurant in a specific amount of time. And if you use that term in a conversation with it, what we're doing here will improve your throughput, they'll think you're part of their team because you're talking about their greater profit, and you want to be on their team. They're going to trust you more, and it'll be better for you in the long run.
Words can have a lot of power, but only if the proper terms are used.
Now, if you make a mistake, admit it immediately, because that gets you in possession and ownership of it. I don't care if the contractor made a mistake and you don't know about it, they are your contractor. So you own it immediately. I didn't properly inform them or whatever. I didn't talk about it properly, and as a result, things happened. Don't throw them under a bus ever. Your version, immediately get it out to all interested parties so that it becomes the facts of the case and it diffuses anyone's development of a war story. Take the time to figure out quickly what has to be done and immediately start those corrections and communicate that. Communicate it in detail to those that need detail and less detail to the higher ups because they don't want it all, and do it by email or some other system where it'll be memorialized. It can't just be by the words themselves.
Well, Don, wisdom truly is the stored memories of our mistakes.
Yeah, it's true. And you know, it's really kind of funny. If you are critical on certain things, you'll be successful. One of them, you've got to be timely. If you make a deadline or if you have a deadline for communication, meet it. Even if you don't have everything you need, get back to them in a time, on that time, so that you are not the person holding it up, and they have respect for you and you have respect for them.
You also need to be accurate.
Honesty, as we talked about, and owning your mistakes, or giving good information to people that they can rely upon, is critical.
Be specific and intentional.
Compassionate. Don't throw people under the bus. Take care of the people who have made mistakes so that they don't feel terrible about it, and you can move on and get on to the restoration of things.
And if you want to survive in this industry, you better be deadline driven too.
You know, if they do all those 6 things on every communication, they'll be successful. And if they do anything less than all 6, if they miss 1 or 2, it just won't be as effective, and your words will not have nearly enough power. There's a quote that I love from John Wooden. It's, talent is God-given, be humble. Fame is man-given, be grateful. Conceit is self-given, be careful. If you can follow that, you're going to be doing pretty well. In all communications, make your words have power.
I'm Ron.
And I'm Don.
Thank you for joining us today. We'd also like to thank our sponsor, RIFMA. Thank you, RIFMA.